Hello, I'm Annie Davey. I've been telling Bible stories to children for many years, and I've got some lovely ones to tell you from the New Testament in this section here. If you want to know about the background, where I got some of the background detail from, you can look it up on the web on truthortradition.com or www.korky.info, where we've written a book called Jesus, Faith and Fact. So it's all in there somewhere, but there's some interesting things here which you may not know. You may think you do know the stories, but wait and see. So let's see what we've got. So here we are, after Easter, when Jesus has come alive again, and lots of the disciples had seen him, and they knew it was true, but he told them to go and wait at Galilee, and he would come. So they went up there to Galilee, which was home really, and they waited, and every time somebody came around the corner, they would, "Is that him? No, it's not him." And in the end, Peter got fed up with waiting. So he said, "I'm going fishing," because that was his job, wasn't it, before he met Jesus. And so some of the others said, "Yeah, we'll come too." There were 7 of them. And so 7 of them got in the boat and they set off. Got the boat ready. Let's put there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they fished all night. Nighttime's the best time for fishing. In fact, in Uganda, they send the boats out with little lamps made of empty paraffin cans, and they have, because the light attracts the fish. Anyway, they tried everything they could think of. They sailed from one end of the lake to the other. It's a long way. It's called the Sea of Galilee. And they hadn't caught anything. And then, as the sun began to come up, and they were so tired, they said, "No good, got to go home." Don't know what the wife's going to say. Never mind. And then they noticed somebody standing on the shore. And he called out to them, "Hi guys, you caught anything?" And they yelled back, "No, not a thing." And he said, "Try putting your nets down on the right-hand side of the boat, starboard side." I thought, we've been out here fishing all night. We want to go home now. But there was something about him. And so they thought, well, one more time. So they put down their nets on the right-hand side of the boat. And oh my goodness, what did they see? Suddenly the sea was in turmoil. And into their net came a whole bunch of great big fish. Who'd have thought it? Look at them all. And then John looked at Peter and he said, "It's the Lord." And Peter, yes! And he put his shirt back on quickly and jumped in and went to shore, leaving the others to bring the boat with all those fish. There were so many fish there. They counted them afterwards. There were 153 big fish. And they had to bring them ashore very carefully or the net would have broken. Enough to keep their families for weeks by the time they'd sold those on the market or smoked them, whatever. But there was Jesus, and they weren't quite sure what to say because they knew it was him, but they didn't like to ask. Let's put them on here. And he said, "Come on, guys, bring me some of that fish. We'll soon have breakfast in," because he's got the barbecue going and he's got some bread from somewhere. And so they, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's not there, that's it. Sitting down waiting for breakfast. Imagine having breakfast done for you by Jesus. And I'll draw Peter a little bit further away because I think he was quite anxious about meeting the Lord again. If you remember that when in the Garden of Gethsemane, when the soldiers came to arrest Jesus and Peter had been there, he'd followed him to see what was going to happen. And 3 times, as Jesus had foretold, Peter said, "What, me? I don't know him. No, never seen him before." They knew he was somebody from up north by his accent. And so here he was, facing Jesus for probably the first time like that, thinking, what is he going to say to me? I promised I wouldn't leave him, and I left him. I said I'd die with him, and I ran away. He'd gone out and wept at the time. He was so ashamed. And sometimes we do things, don't we, that make us feel really ashamed, and we think, well, Jesus couldn't possibly love me after that. But after they'd had their fish and their their bread for breakfast, Jesus said to him, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter said, "Lord, I do. You know I do." And then Jesus asked him 3 times, "Peter, do you really truly love me?" And Peter was a bit hurt by that because he said, "Lord, you know I'd do anything for you. You know I love you." And so instead of being angry with him and saying, "Well, I never want to see you again, you let me down," this is what Jesus said. He said, "I've got a job for you." Peter thought, wow, he's not angry with me. He's got something for me to do. So he said, "What is it?" So Jesus said, "I want you to feed my sheep." Well, Peter was a fisherman, wasn't he? He wasn't a shepherd at all. So who do you think Jesus meant by his sheep? He meant the grown-ups, all the grown-up people. Feed my sheep. Look after the people who are going to be his followers. Teach them about him. And then he said, "And feed my lambs." Well, who do you suppose the lambs were? The children. Jesus always thought children were wonderful and important. He was so pleased when children came to him. So he was telling Peter that he'd got a job for him to feed, to teach the grown-ups and the children about Jesus. And I found that when I decided to do that, it's been this. Let's have a look at this magic lettering, shall we? It's a long word up here. Should we read it together? The adventure of your life. And that's what it's been for me. I would never have imagined when I was younger the wonderful things that God had in store for me to do, the people that I'd meet, the places I've been, and the wonderful depth of teaching that I'm still learning about, even though I'm a granny now. I'm still learning new things about Jesus and how much he loves me. And it has been, and still is, the adventure of my life. And I hope one day you'll discover that if you decide to follow him, you'll have an amazing adventure with him as well. So God bless you and thank you for listening. And remember that you're never too small or too young for Jesus to have a job for you to do. There's a little girl in the street where my little granddaughter lives. Her name's Millie and she's 7. And she decided that she would have a kindness cafe. Maybe I've told you about her before. So outside her house, she's got a little table on the pavement and she's got things out there that she thinks that people might enjoy. Some of her little toys or some little cakes or something that she's made. And people can just come along and say, "Hello, Millie, what have you got today?" And take something, and it cheers everybody up. So maybe you could do something like that. Or just be a bit helpful at home. Or one of the best questions you could ever ask is, "How can I help you?" isn't it? So you try and ask Jesus what it is that he's got for you to do today. And you'll see what he comes up with. He gives you good ideas, never bad ones. Thank you for listening then. Bye-bye.